I was put in pageants when I was younger, these kind of scholarship pageants, and there was a talent portion.
You may know her as the 13-year-old girl who captured the hearts of millions on America's Got Talent. The young singer and ventriloquist, Darci Lynne, wowed audiences with her charm, her puppets, and her radiant smile. But behind that sparkling exterior, there was a story the world didn't see, a story of pain, betrayal, and resilience. Today, Darci stands in north-central Pennsylvania, a young woman no longer defined solely by her fame, but by the battles she's fought and the strength she discovered along the way. Hi Darci Lynne. How are you today? A reporter asks, trying to capture the girl the public loves. I'm great, she replies, laughter in her voice. But that laughter, as bright as it seems, hides years of struggle. Her famous puppet, Petunia, smiles alongside her. I'm Tunia, the puppet announces with charm and mischief. At 19 now, Darci Lynne is finally opening up about a dark, heartbreaking day that changed everything, a day that almost ended her career before it truly began. Darci Lynne became known as the smiling ventriloquist, the girl who could bring puppets to life while keeping audiences enchanted. Yet, behind every smile and every perfectly timed joke, there was a secret she had carried for years. For most, the story was all about talent, charm, and youthful exuberance. But for Darci, it was about endurance. It was about surviving moments no one else could imagine. It was about carrying a weight so heavy that even the bright lights of fame couldn't hide it. She had a mentor, Gary Ricks Jr., also known as the Voice from Oklahoma, who became her guiding force. Gary wasn't just a coach, he was a teacher of life, showing her how to find her voice and, more importantly, how to withstand the pressures that came with being in the spotlight. Under his guidance, Darci grew, not only as a performer, but as a person. He taught her to embrace her talent, but he also prepared her for life's unexpected storms. And soon, Darci would face a storm that would test her in ways she had never imagined. After her big win on America's Got Talent, Darci's life changed almost overnight. Her talent caught the attention of the music industry, and she signed with a well-known record label, collaborating with top producers and songwriters. Simon Cowell, known for his critical eye, recognized her brilliance. But fame brought more than applause. It brought scrutiny, exhaustion, and expectations far beyond her years. Behind closed doors, the challenges she faced were not about puppets or songs. They were deeply personal struggles that threatened everything she had worked for. During the quiet moments, when the applause faded and the stage lights dimmed, Darci battled a silent adversary, a diagnosis of cancer. The news hit her like a thunderstorm. While millions cheered her performances, she endured a private fight against the disease that could have stolen her life, her voice, and her dreams. It was July 2020 when Darci emerged victorious. Against all odds, she conquered her illness, supported by her family, her fans, and her mentor Gary Ricks Jr. This victory was more than medical, it was emotional and spiritual. It showed the world that her courage was not limited to the stage. The experience changed her. Every song she performed, every joke she delivered with Petunia, carried a new depth. Darci was no longer just a cheerful ventriloquist, she was a survivor. Her mentor Gary remained a rock, reminding her of the power she held, not just in her voice, but in her story. He guided her as she learned to connect with audiences not only through entertainment but through her resilience and raw authenticity. Darci used her platform to raise awareness about cancer and support those struggling with it. She contributed to organizations like the Toby Keith Foundation, helping children and families affected by the disease. Each performance became more than art, it became a beacon of hope. Yet even as she overcame cancer, there was another battle, one less visible but equally devastating. There was a day Darci rarely speaks of, that left a scar deeper than any stage injury or medical fight. At just 14 years old, Darci faced a betrayal that shook her to her core. Someone she trusted, someone she believed had her best interests at heart, shattered that trust in an instant. It wasn't a material loss, it was something far more fragile, her sense of safety, her innocence, and her belief in the kindness of others. The fallout was immediate. Darci withdrew from public life. The stage, once her sanctuary, felt like a spotlight exposing her vulnerability. She questioned everything: her talent, her career, and even her desire to continue performing. But giving up wasn't in her nature. With time, support from her family, and guidance from true friends, she found a way back. Her puppets became more than props, they were companions in her healing, helping her process the pain while keeping her connected to her passion. Darci returned to the stage not for fame or applause, but for herself. She performed to reclaim her voice, her joy, and her confidence. Slowly, she transformed pain into purpose, turning her performances into acts of empowerment. Each song, each act, became imbued with meaning. Darci Lynne was no longer just a performer, she was a storyteller of resilience. She learned that her scars did not define her, they were chapters in her story, not the conclusion. She began to share her experiences selectively, speaking about resilience, trust, and the importance of asking for help. Her message reached children, teens, and adults alike. She became a symbol not just of talent, but of courage and hope. One defining moment came at a fundraiser for children battling cancer. Darci met a young girl who, despite her own struggles, looked up to Darci as a source of inspiration. In that instant, Darci realized that even while she was hurting, she could still make a difference. Her journey taught her that vulnerability could coexist with strength. Sharing her story didn't make her weaker, it amplified her impact. She inspired others to keep fighting, to find courage even in despair, and to believe in their own resilience. Through these experiences, Darci understood that her purpose went beyond performance, it was about connection, empathy, and using her voice to uplift others. Even as she reclaimed her confidence, Darci faced the ongoing challenge of trusting again. Betrayal had left a shadow over her life, making her wary of those around her. It was a battle that no applause could heal, no standing ovation could soothe. At night, as she lay awake, memories of that dark day replayed in her mind. Questions like, how do you move on when the past won't let go, haunted her. But slowly, through therapy, honest conversations, and the support of genuine friends, she began to piece together a new sense of security and self-worth. Her story became a roadmap for others struggling with similar pain, a reminder that it's possible to rise, even when betrayal and trauma have shaken your foundation. Darci discovered that joy could coexist with scars. She learned to embrace her talents in new ways, dancing, playing the ukulele, and exploring hip-hop. Each activity became not only an outlet for creativity but a tool for healing. The key realization was simple yet profound: she could continue to bring happiness to others while tending to her own wounds. Her performances were no longer just entertainment, they were acts of resilience, statements of courage, and celebrations of life's victories, big and small. She continued to advocate for children with cancer, using her story to instill hope. Her own journey of survival gave her credibility and empathy, making her voice a powerful instrument for change. Darci's story is a testament to the power of vulnerability. She taught herself and others that showing pain doesn't weaken a person, it humanizes them. By sharing her journey, she encouraged others to confront their fears, seek help, and trust that even in moments of despair, they could find strength. Her mentor Gary remained a guiding light, reminding her that her voice had the power to inspire far beyond the stage. Each conversation, each performance, became a chance to reach hearts and minds, showing that courage comes in many forms. Sometimes it's a smile, sometimes it's standing up after being knocked down, and sometimes it's simply speaking the truth. Today, Darci Lynne is more than a ventriloquist, more than a singer, and more than a survivor. She is a symbol of resilience and a beacon of hope for anyone who has ever felt helpless, betrayed, or alone. Her story reminds us that fame and talent can coexist with struggle, that victory is not only measured in applause, but in the courage to rise again. And yet, her journey is far from over. New chapters await, filled with unexpected challenges, opportunities, and moments of growth. Each day brings a chance to share her gift, to inspire, and to redefine what it means to be strong in the face of adversity. As she steps forward into the next chapter, one thing is clear: Darci Lynne's voice, her talent, and her story will continue to touch lives, offering hope and joy to a world that desperately needs both. The story of Darci Lynne is not just about fame or talent, it is about resilience, courage, and the power of sharing one's journey. Behind the laughter, the music, and the puppets, lies a young woman who has faced betrayal, illness, and darkness. Yet she stands victorious, teaching us that even when life pushes us to the edge, it is possible to find light, hope, and purpose. Her journey inspires us to keep moving forward, to face our fears, and to use our own voices, whether on stage, in a classroom, or in quiet moments, to make a difference. Darci Lynne has shown us that true strength is not in hiding pain but in transforming it into a story that uplifts others. And for that reason, her story will continue to resonate, inspire, and remind the world that even the brightest smiles can have the deepest strength behind them. Darci's journey would have been impossible without the steady guidance of Gary Ricks Jr. He wasn't just a mentor, he was a protector, a teacher, and sometimes, the voice of reason when the world seemed too overwhelming. He taught her that talent alone wasn't enough. Fame could elevate someone, but it could also isolate them. It was empathy, resilience, and discipline that kept performers grounded. Gary helped her understand that her voice wasn't just a tool for entertainment, it was a weapon for hope, a bridge to connect with others, and a shield against the world's harshness. He guided her through her first performances after the betrayal, helping her reclaim confidence. More importantly, he reminded her that mistakes, setbacks, and pain weren't failures, they were lessons shaping her into the artist she was becoming. After betrayal, one of the hardest lessons for Darci was trust. She had always believed in people, in kindness, and in the idea that those who supported her had her best interests at heart. That illusion was shattered, leaving her guarded and cautious. Yet, as time passed, she learned that not everyone had the intent to hurt her. Small acts of genuine support, friends showing up when she felt invisible, fans writing heartfelt letters, mentors guiding her without expectation, taught her that trust could be rebuilt, slowly, piece by piece. It wasn't easy. Trust, once broken, doesn't mend overnight. But Darci began to understand that allowing others in didn't make her vulnerable, it made her stronger. And as she allowed herself to trust again, her connection to her audience deepened in ways she hadn't imagined. Throughout her struggles, Darci discovered that art could heal wounds words sometimes couldn't touch. Puppetry, music, dance, and painting became her therapy. Her puppets were more than tools for entertainment, they were companions, listening silently as she processed complex emotions. Each character became a vessel for expression, helping her explore anger, fear, and sadness in a safe way. Music, too, became a catharsis. Playing the ukulele or piano, experimenting with new songs, and even learning hip-hop allowed her to reclaim control over her body, her voice, and her expression. Each melody became a reminder that she could create beauty even when life felt broken. Returning to the stage wasn't just a career move, it was an act of courage. Each performance became a declaration, I am here, and I will not be broken. Audiences still saw the cheerful girl with her puppets, but those who looked closer could sense the depth behind her performances. There was raw honesty in her timing, a sincerity in her laughter, and a subtle gravity in her smile. Darci learned that her vulnerability was part of her artistry. The pain she endured made her performances richer, more authentic, and profoundly human. In the shadows of her past, she discovered a new form of light. Beyond entertainment, Darci used her platform to advocate for causes close to her heart. Having faced cancer, betrayal, and emotional trauma, she understood the importance of empathy and outreach. She worked with organizations like the Toby Keith Foundation and others that support children battling illnesses. She spoke at events, lent her voice to campaigns, and even created small programs to empower kids facing similar challenges. For Darci, advocacy wasn't just about visibility, it was about connection. Each story she shared, each child she encouraged, reaffirmed that her journey, with all its pain, could inspire real change. Even in moments of triumph, Darci often felt alone in a crowd. Fame brought admiration, but also distance. People clapped for her performances, celebrated her victories, and cheered at her every move, yet few understood the battles she fought behind the scenes. It was a paradox she had to reconcile, being loved publicly while struggling privately. The realization that it was okay to feel lonely, even while surrounded by people, became a turning point in her emotional growth. She learned to acknowledge these feelings, rather than suppress them, and to seek comfort from genuine connections rather than superficial admiration. Darci's defining strength was her ability to transform personal pain into purpose. Every setback became a lesson, every tear a catalyst for growth. Her story teaches that resilience isn't about avoiding suffering, it's about using suffering to discover strength. She showed the world that trauma doesn't have to silence you, it can amplify your voice. Through this lens, her puppets weren't just toys, her songs weren't just melodies, and her performances weren't just entertainment, they were instruments of healing, empathy, and inspiration. One of the most profound experiences in Darci's journey was meeting fans who were inspired by her story. From young children battling illness to teenagers overcoming personal struggles, she realized that her story had the power to uplift in ways she hadn't imagined. A young girl battling cancer once told her, "You give me hope. Even when I feel weak, I know I can keep fighting because you did." In that moment, Darci understood that her struggles, her tears, and her scars weren't just personal, they were gifts she could share with the world. Her journey had meaning far beyond herself. Despite all the challenges, Darci learned the importance of small joys. Dancing, drawing, playing music, and laughing with friends became reminders that happiness wasn't just on stage, it was in the everyday moments. She also realized that reclaiming joy wasn't about forgetting pain. It was about accepting it, integrating it, and choosing to continue moving forward anyway. Each day became a victory, and each smile a testament to her resilience. As Darci steps into adulthood, her story is far from over. She faces new opportunities, challenges, and possibilities. Every performance, every interaction, and every choice is shaped by her past, but not limited by it. She knows that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite fear. And as she continues to grow, Darci will keep using her voice, her talent, and her platform to make a difference, not just in entertainment, but in the lives of those who need hope. Darci's ultimate message is simple yet profound: life will bring challenges, betrayal, and pain. But resilience, empathy, and purpose can turn suffering into strength. Her story is proof that it's possible to rise after being knocked down, to smile even when the world tries to break you, and to use your voice, whether literal or metaphorical, to inspire others. Darci Lynne isn't just a performer, she's a symbol of hope, courage, and the transformative power of human resilience. As Darci continues her journey, the future remains full of possibilities. She has learned to navigate fame, face personal struggles, and create meaning from adversity. Each new chapter will be defined not only by her talent, but by the courage, empathy, and wisdom she has gained. The story of Darci Lynne reminds us that every challenge, heartbreak, and betrayal can be transformed into a source of strength. And while the specifics of her struggles may remain private, the lessons she imparts are universal. Hope, courage, and resilience can guide us through even the darkest days. Darci Lynne stands today as more than a ventriloquist or singer. She is a survivor, an advocate, and an inspiration. Her journey reminds us that behind every smile may lie untold struggles, but it is our response to those struggles that defines us. Her life is a testament to the power of resilience, the importance of support, and the transformative potential of storytelling. She has faced darkness, overcome immense challenges, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than ever before. And as her story continues to unfold, one thing is certain: Darci Lynne will continue to shine, inspire, and prove that even in the face of adversity, hope, courage, and joy are always possible.